Well, we wanted to bring in some national perspective to this question about the First Amendment versus national security.
Yeah, indeed. We turned to noted filmmaker Robert Greenwald, who is the founder and president of Brave New Films. His brand new documentary we had a chance to watch earlier this week. It's timely. It's called War on Whistleblowers. It doesn't champion politicians, but puts a spotlight on normal folks and journalists who risk their careers, their families, and even jail time to bring you the facts. Here's a clip, followed by part of our conversation with Mr. Greenwald.
One of the most disappointing things we've seen has been the president's commitment to going after the journalists that they've worked with when all they're doing is exposing wrongdoing.
It's put a lot of journalists on the defensive to make them even more reluctant to work with whistleblowers.
It really criminalizes the news gathering process.
There just seems to be a disconnect here. You want aggressive journalism abroad, you just don't want it in the United States.
Well, I would hesitate to speak to any particular case.
What do you think journalists need to know, or how do they need to be trained to understand the difference between a leak and a whistleblower?
Well, as we're seeing in the headlines today around the White House and the Associated Press, that the journalists more and more are being targeted, are being threatened, pressure is being put on them, lawsuits have been introduced against some journalists, more will probably come. And the amazing investigative journalists who spoke up for the film, it's quite an extraordinary group of talented women and men. And I think they're all aware, as Jim Risen says in a clip that we use in the film, can you have a democracy without real investigative reporting? And that's a serious question.
This really isn't a matter of partisanship. I mean, there are stories like the wiretapping from the Bush years, and now some of the comments you used in the documentary about reporters saying that not only is it the same, but it's worse now.
We try very hard to connect the dots for people, and here the dots connected up pretty quickly, that no matter which administration, no matter who the president was, that this national security state, this military-industrial electoral complex, not in an illegal fashion, very upfront was working over and over again to make sure that there was quiet, to make sure that secrets were kept, and to try, frankly, to protect the darkness. That's how the security state functions. And it's important, I think, for each one of us to do whatever we can. We're not all going to be whistleblowers. We're not all going to be heroes in that way. But damn it, this is our democracy, and we can all do something.
Always frightening when you talk about the First Amendment and taking away that right to cover news and get those sources wherever they may be.
And it's the reason most of us who are journalists got into the business anyway.
Exactly.
It's very frightening.
Yeah.
A great movie. You should get out to see that when it becomes available.